Grass strip operations are a lot of fun, and they seem to be on the bucket lists for a lot of pilots. There's some special allure involved, an attraction for a new experience, a new aviation challenge. And maybe it's just a reminder of times when life was simpler, but it's something most pilots want to try. Most anyone can handle it. There are some factors and techniques to deal with, but the biggest problem is finding an available grass runway. You don't have to have tons of experience or fly a tail dragger on big Tundra tires to enjoy this unique type of flight. Based on the quality and length of the runway, your garden variety Cessna 172 or Piper Warrior will fly off grass just fine. And in addition to being just plain fun, grass operations offer an extra benefit. Your tires last forever. They may dry rot before you actually wear them out. Grass runways can vary quite a bit. Some are bumpy, some have dips and low spots, some are manicured like a golf course fairway. Some are long, but many tend to be on the short side. Taken together, you'll probably put all that short and soft field training you had as a student pilot into play when you fly in and out of a grass strip. Before operating from any grass runway, evaluate these factors: airplane capability, pilot capability, runway condition, and density altitude. If you're flying at a beautifully manicured strip with no obstructions and plenty of length, pretty much any airplane will work. At the other end of the spectrum, an airplane like this can fly in and out of the most rugged strips around. The point here is that you have to evaluate your airplane against the situations you'll encounter. Consider the terrain thoroughly and confirm that your airplane's undercarriage is robust enough for the mission. This is especially important if you're flying an airplane with retractable gear. Are you flying an airplane with tricycle gear? Don't forget that the nose wheel strut is not designed to absorb a large amount of force. There's a reason you tend to see more tail draggers operating from grass strips. Regarding tires, size matters. Again, it's not much of an issue on a strip with great conditions, but otherwise, the bigger the tires, the better. They can absorb a lot more force and give you more rubber on the road. Does your landing gear include wheel pants? They can vibrate to the point of failure on extremely rough surfaces, and if the grass is just a little too long, wheel pants can become clogged and even damaged. And here's the biggie: aircraft weight and performance. Turf surfaces will increase your ground roll on takeoff and reduce it on landing. A short grass strip is not the place to become a test pilot. Use your performance charts and make sure that your airplane is well within its safe operational limits. Pilot capability is an obvious one. Are you up to speed with short and soft field takeoffs and landings? If you haven't practiced these recently, you're probably not quite ready for your first landing at a grass strip. Grass runways vary so much that you really need to assess each one separately. You definitely need to know the length, but you also need to know about any low spots, the length of the grass, and any obstructions. At the very least, talk to someone who operates there before trying it out for yourself. Even better, go walk the runway and get familiar with the lay of the land. Be really careful if the runway is wet. You don't want to find yourself touching down into a swamp. And wet grass can be slick as grease, difficult to stop on if you're coming in a bit too fast. Particularly in the summer, be aware of the density altitude. Remember that high density altitude describes low density air. When it's hot and humid, you won't get normal performance from your airplane. With a short runway, this could be the difference between making it or not making it. Let's consider a standard grass runway if there is such a thing. This one is short, but within performance limits of our airplane. It's somewhat rough, but not unusually soft. To take off from a runway like this, we'll use what is called short-soft technique. It's a mixture of short field and soft field technique. The surface is not so soft that the airplane will sink in, and the grass isn't so long that it could bog us down. So, instead of continuing to roll as we taxi into position, we'll use all available runway and come to a complete stop lined up on the runway center line, just like a normal short field takeoff. Holding the brakes will give it full power so that the engine is producing maximum thrust for the entire takeoff run. When the brakes are released, quick right rudder will be needed to hold it straight. Now we transition into soft field technique. The goal is to get the nose wheel off the ground quickly so that it isn't battered by the rough surface, and as soon as possible we'll pull the entire airplane off the turf into ground effect. Once there, nose down a bit so that we remain in ground effect and accelerate. When adequate airspeed has been reached, we climb out at VX to avoid hitting the tree at the end of the runway. Here's how it looks with a real airplane. It'll be a bit noisy, so I'll avoid further narrative until the end. That was interesting. Let's slow it down and run through it again. Feet on the brakes, full power, and let her roll. The runway is less than smooth, so we need to hold back pressure during the roll. Hold the nose off until we can pull it up into ground effect. The airplane still doesn't have adequate flying speed yet, so we hold it in ground effect and let it accelerate. With adequate airspeed, pitch up for VX and hold that until any obstacles are cleared. Then, reduce pitch and continue the climb at VY or some other climb speed. Pause the video if you'd like to take a moment to review this graphic. This has been a fun video and gives you a good overview of grass operations. There are plenty of other issues you can investigate, including leaning on takeoff for maximum power and the ever-fascinating topic of gusty and erratic winds when you're flying close to the tree line. Do keep these 4 factors in mind when you get ready for your next visit to a turf runway. The only constant about them is that they're constantly changing. For Gold Seal, I'm Russ Still. Good flying.